Welcome everyone, you have landed on the channel of the Ebb Fats. This is a Championship Manager 0102 channel, and we're back again today looking at club finances and training facilities. There's a whole series going on my channel, so do have a look at those if you get a chance. After this, do subscribe to my channel, like this video, share with anyone you think may be interested. And if there's anything else you would like to see on the channel, please do comment and we'll see if we can help you out with that. What we're doing today, as I say, is looking at the original database, but using the fabulous starter kit created by John Betts. That is available from the Champman forums. That's CM0102.net, and also from John's personal GitHub page. If you were to do a search for John Betts CM0102 or starter kit, you should be able to find that. So I'm playing on Mac. It is available on Windows obviously, but what we're doing is a series of videos looking at the starting finances and starting training facilities for all the teams in the game. So there's been previous videos looking at the English divisions, and we're now going to start on the Italian divisions. So first up today will be Serie A. So without further ado, let's dive in. So obviously the table is in alphabetical order, and the first club we will see is Atalanta. So here we are. They have a 26,724 capacity stadium. Just 10,000 of those are seated though. They do have undersoil heating. And the training ground and facilities you see there listed as excellent. And the reason I'm doing this video is, as part of the John Betts starter kit, there is a miscellaneous patch which allows you to see the training ground facilities as a numerical figure. So you'll normally see them listed as we see here, excellent, good, needs investment, stuff like that. But this way round, it also tells you how close you are, if you're upgrading them, to completing the perfect training facilities. So Atalanta are pretty much there already. They have a listing of 19 out of 20. And alongside that we will look at their finances, and they have, to start with, £14.5 million in the bank and a training fund allowance of £11 million. So a good healthy amount of money for Atalanta as you start the game. Next up we have Bologna 1909. They play at the Renato Dell'Ara, and an all-seater capacity of 39,603. The training ground is rated as excellent, but you'll notice from the previous one for Atalanta, they were 19 out of 20. Bologna are 18 out of 20, but still listed as excellent. So you see the difference there. Could be still excellent, but it's over a number of tier levels, if that makes sense. So Bologna, you see there, start with Francesco Guidolin as manager, and also another name familiar these days, Walter Mazzari, is assistant manager. Finance wise, slightly less than Atalanta, 6 million in the bank, 4.9 million of that available to spend. Brescia, one of those teams that are kind of up and down in Serie A, Serie B. We see here the Mario Rigamonti is a 27,547 capacity stadium. Fair chunk of that, 20,000, is seated. Training ground and facilities there you see listed as adequate, but 15 out of 20. Finances wise, £6.78 million in the bank, but just 2 million of that is allowed you to spend. We move on to Chievo Verona, yellow and blue, well-known team from Serie A. Big stadium, 44,500 capacity, 25,000 seated. They do already have in place the undersoil heating. Training ground and facilities adequate, 11 out of 20. So that's where they need the improvement. They don't quite have the money to do it at the moment though. Just over £3 million in the bank and just £120,000 available to spend. So that is a challenge if you wish to take on Chievo and turn them into a bit of a force in Italy. And to the first of the big boys, Fiorentina. So we all know in the 3.9.68 update, Fiorentina are in serious debt trouble, but we'll see if that's the same here. Of course, it's the Artemio Franchi in Florence, 47,350 all-seater stadium, training ground listed as excellent, but just 16 out of 20. So we now know that at least 16, 17, 18 and 19 are all listed as excellent. But that now gives you the difference that you see with the numerical figure. Roberto Mancini in charge. Finance wise, there's the debt as well. Fiorentina are £10 million in debt, but inexplicably you might think, 475,000 is available to spend on players. Internazionale of Milan, one of the biggest clubs in the country, if not the world. They of course play at the Giuseppe Meazza, the San Siro Stadium. 85,443 all-seater with undersoil heating. Obviously we now know in 2022 they will be looking to leave that stadium and move to a new one. But obviously it's an iconic stadium, well known worldwide. Excellent training facilities, but not quite perfect. 19 out of 20. With Massimo Moratti as chairman, you would expect big finances, and you do have them. Just shy of £31.6 million in the bank, and 30 million of that is given to you to improve the squad if you so wish, if you were to take on the challenge of Inter. Another big boy is Juventus. At this stage they are still at Delle Alpi in Torino. Facilities 69,041 all-seater stadium with undersoil heating. Training ground listed as excellent, 18 out of 20. You see there an Agnelli as chairman. Agnelli's of the Fiat family, of course. So again, you would expect finance to be good, and you would be right. £35.18 million and transfer funds of 34 million. Lazio of Rome, playing at Stadio Olimpico, a huge stadium, 82,922 all-seater stadium, and a training ground listed as excellent, and that's 19 out of 20. Finance wise, Lazio are not quite up there with the previous two clubs, but still pretty wealthy. £25.31 million in the bank, 21 million available as transfer funds. We move on to Lecce. They play at Via del Mare in Lecce, in the town. A big stadium, 38,970 all-seater stadium. Training ground needs a little work though. Just 12 out of 20 and listed as adequate. Finance wise, just short of £6 million in the bank, and 1.7 million of that is given to you or whoever were to take over as transfer funds. We move back to Milan and look at AC Milan. They again play at Giuseppe Meazza, the San Siro Stadium, alongside their city rivals Inter. 85,443 all-seater with undersoil heating and a training ground listed 20 out of 20. Excellent. So, if you were to take on AC Milan in the game, you would have a world-class stadium, world-class training ground, world-class youth facilities, with Silvio Berlusconi as chairman. You'd imagine world-class finances, and you would find £32.67 million in the bank, and almost all of that, £32 million, is given to you to improve the AC Milan squad if you were to so wish. Parma. Pre-collapse Parma, when Parma were one of the biggest clubs in Italy. They're getting back to those stages again, but you see our good friend Sebastian Frey, Fabio Cannavaro, Benarivo, big names at the club. Ennio Tardini Stadium, 28,000 all-seater, and a training ground / youth facilities, excellent, 18 out of 20. £29.5 million in the bank, pretty much, and 23.5 available in transfer funds if you wanted to use those. We'll move to the bottom end of the table. Our 12th club is Perugia. They play at the Renato Curie Stadium, 28,000 stadium, 20,000 of those are seated. A training ground listed adequate, 14 out of 20. Sersi Cosmi is in charge as the game begins, unless you wanted to take on the challenge of Perugia. If you did, you would find 9.7 million in the bank and 6.75 million available for you to spend to improve the Perugia squad and maybe keep them in the division. Roma, our second side from the capital. Again, alongside Lazio, play at Stadio Olimpico, 82,922 all-seater stadium, of course. Training ground and youth facilities listed as excellent and 18 out of 20. Fabio Capello is the man in charge as the game begins. Would you want to replace him in the Italian capital? If you did, £30.78 million available in the bank, £27.5 million available to spend. But as we all know, do you really need to? A squad of stars, an unbeatable side in AI hands. Would it be the same with a human manager? Final four, Torino, Juve city rivals. They also play at Delle Alpi. 69,041 is the stadium capacity. Training ground listed excellent, 16 out of 20. Finance wise, Torino not quite Juve levels. 6 million in the bank, 4.4 million to spend. Udinese, another side well known in Serie A circles. Their stadium name is Friuli in the town of Udine. Facilities 41,825 all seated, and a training ground listed as excellent, 16 out of 20. And the big name in charge there is an Englishman, and it's Roy Hodgson. Would you want to replace him in the hot seat in Udine? If you did, £12 million in the bank. Just under half of that, £5.5 million available to spend. Two more. Venezia, the green and black of Venice, of course. Pierluigi Penzo is the stadium name. 13,500. No mention of seats, no mention of undersoil heating. A training ground listed as adequate. 11 out of 20. Prandelli is the man in charge. But if you were to replace him, £5 million in the bank. Half of that, 2.5 million to spend on transfers. And the final team, Hellas Verona, a little bit of Greek in there. Bentegodi is the stadium. 44,500 is the capacity. 25,000 of those are seated. They do already have undersoil heating installed. The training ground listed as adequate, and that's 12 out of 20. Do you want to be the person to replace Alberto Malassani? If you did, £6.5 million in the bank and 1.7 million to spend. That concludes Serie A. Are you tempted by any team in this division? Obviously, back in 2001, Italian football was the place to be. Late 90s, early noughties. Big clubs, big expectations. Do you want to take on the challenge of one of these sides? Join me again when we return with another division. But for now, do subscribe to the channel for more. Like this video, share with anyone you believe may be interested. And yeah, please do comment and let me know what you think of the presentation and if there are any other things you would like us to cover. Thanks very much indeed for your time.